What is up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well out there. It is your boy, Andrew Esquire. Welcome to Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. Once again, coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. It's been a wild couple nights for me. A lot of sake in the system. So I've got my Pocari Sweat, big rep to Korea over there. And then, of course, my natural mineral water here to rehydrate. As we get going here. Of course, it is good to see everybody in the chat. We should have everything going on all three platforms. So I think I've got Rumble going. I've got YouTube. I have got locals. So all the base Chads and Stacy's from all over can participate today. Very good to be hanging out with you. And very good to be live. That's right. This is live. Is this live? Indeed. As Andrew F says, with the live emoji, we are in fact live. What's going on, everybody there in the chat today? Good to see you guys in the chat with the live emojis. We're live, baby. We're live. What's up? We're going to be debunking the myth of Saint Floyd, the hallowed. We'll be talking about that today, a little bit about the update, why it's important, why now? We're going to be getting into that right away. Hold on a second. Let me make sure I quiet myself in the background here because, I'm kind of loud. That's the problem with me, is that I'm very loud. But still glad to be here with you guys, no matter how loud I may be when I'm trying to listen to myself. Trying to get this thing out on Twitter here real quick. So just popping this thing on Twitter so people know I'm live. A little bit random, guys. It's been a little bit crazy here in Japan. Of course, everything is, of course, smaller for me, which means I am bigger over here. If you guys didn't see on Twitter, I was out last night having a good time in a very, very, very tightly packed Tokyo club. Very, very fun. But it's good to be here. It's going to be good to be here for Halloween. I actually really love for Tokyo for Halloween. It's an amazing time. If you guys have a chance to experience that once in your life, you should come out and experience that. And there are going to be those of you out there that are coming out to Japan this next weekend to come hang out with me. And I look forward to meeting everybody who will be out here next weekend. So look forward to seeing all you guys out there. All right. So let's pop this off. It's good to see, by the way, all the members here: Danielle, Grant Rasha, Opus, Billy Aoki, all you guys in the chat. Now, I was initially planning to do a Disney stream. So I was planning to do some Disney updates, but there's a lot of stuff there. I'm going to get to that in the near future. This stuff was a little bit more burning, right? A little bit more pressing. And people in the locals chat asked if they can drop George Floyd memes. Absolutely. Now, I will decide whether I can show them, but we'll see. But definitely drop them in the locals. All right. So right here, what we do have is it is now George Floyd's 50th birthday. So in case you guys didn't know, President Biden, our esteemed President Biden, right, gave a statement on George Floyd's 50th birthday. So I want to read this and why it's still pressing here. Because look, October 14, 2023, this is a statement from Biden, our leader, our great leader. So we should be obviously listening to this very closely. So what do you say? George Floyd should be alive. He should be celebrating his 50th birthday with his young daughter, Gianna, family, and friends. He deserves so much more. Today, we join his family to honor his life and legacy. We remember the tragedy and injustice of his death that sparked one of the largest civil rights movements in our nation's history and inspired the world. George Floyd's murder exposed what Black and brown communities have long known and experienced, that our nation has never lived up to its highest ideal of fair and impartial justice for all. The day before her father's funeral, Gianna told me, "Daddy changed the world." 3 years after her father's murder, my opinion to Gianna remains the same. He has. A year and a half ago, Kamala and I stood with the family of George Floyd, civil rights leaders, law enforcement, and signed an executive order which applies the key elements of the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. It bans chokeholds, restricts no-knock warrants, establishes a database for police misconduct, and directs other measures to advance effective and accountable policing that increases public safety. It puts federal law enforcement on a path to becoming a gold standard for effectiveness and accountability. Hold on one second. Let me laugh here real quick. Federal law enforcement, the gold standard for accountability. Are you kidding me right now? Federal law enforcement. First of all, people should note here, it's like federal law enforcement wasn't even involved in this incident, which is the hilarious thing to me, is that, it's talking here about federal law enforcement, right? And they weren't even involved, weren't even there. My order also directs the use of federal tools to support similar reform in state and local agencies. What this means is Biden, like many presidents before him that are really authoritarians, try to extend the power of executive order into mandate, into divine mandate, the same way the kings of the old Han dynasty used to do, the same way the Habsburgs did. He wants the power of the Sun King. Biden wants absolute control. And perhaps using those monarchist regimes isn't right. Perhaps I should say he wants the power of Stalin or Pol Pot. These are the realities that Biden wants in America. He wants your rights absolutely stripped along with your property. So continuing here, we know that implementing real and lasting change at state and local levels requires Congress to act. I will continue to do everything in my power to fight for police accountability and urge Congress to pass meaningful police reform and send it to my desk. Let us recommit our changing hearts while enacting policies that ensure our nations lives up to its founding idea that we're all created equal and deserve to be treated equally throughout our lives. That's very nice and well, if any of it was true. If any of it was true. Of course, we are finding out that it is complete bunk, that the myth of George Floyd, of St. Floyd, is complete bunk. Now, I know what a lot of you are saying, and I've seen the Twitter comments, I've seen the replies. I know people are saying, Andrew, we knew this years ago. In fact, if you guys look back, one of my first videos on this channel, a video I got destroyed for in the comments, I got so much hate, was, look, the evidence isn't there, and there's contradictory evidence, which leads us to believe that a very plausible, there's a reasonable doubt that could be generated about the cause of death regarding fentanyl. I said that, very measured, right? Like, this is reasonable doubt. You cannot be convicted because there's reasonable doubt. People destroy me, call me Hitler. And look, listen, I'm not saying that my haircut doesn't look like I'm about to march on Moscow. But that being said, people were absolutely attacking me for that opinion, just for that legal opinion. Once again, in my legal opinion about an evidentiary standard, nope, can't accept that. And that was my problem. My problem is America, and really the West in general, is getting away from facts and getting into feelings. And when we are allowing especially a woke lynch mob to say, you know what, we're going to ignore facts, we're going to ignore evidence, this is a problem. I said that years ago. Now, fast forward, right? Fast forward to now. And what do we have? More evidence is leaking out that indeed George Floyd was not at all asphyxiated, choked out. There was no actual damage that was life-threatening to his neck, throat, whatever. There was an overdose. There was an overdose involved. And you can either link it straight back to overdose or natural causes as the result of chronic fentanyl use. And so let's put it down right here, guys. Let me show this one here. So I appreciate all of you guys donating here, especially on Rumble, you base chats and Stacy's. Vibe AI for $5 says, Mythos del Floyd. Here we go. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support, Vibe AI. Check out Vibe AI's channel. It's a great channel. Go over there, check that out. And also, guys, whether you're on Rumble or Locals or wherever else, smash that like button, smash that button formerly known as the Pussy over there on Rumble. Smash the like on Locals, share that out. It is very, very, very good. Okay, a lot of memes on Locals. I will see which ones later that I can share. So I do appreciate you guys. I do appreciate it. I have to make sure that they're not going to get me completely yeeted off of YouTube. But that being said, appreciate the $5 super sticker as well from Agrilith, the base chat over here. And it's good to see a lot of you guys hanging with me late night. Like I know sometimes, guys, frankly, I know I've been over streaming Joe. I know I've been over streaming Nick. I really don't have an option. A lot of times I don't get started. I don't get shit going until a little bit later. So it's just the time I start. I appreciate you guys hanging with me. I appreciate you guys coming out. And I appreciate we got 200 people in the chat right now. You guys are the real Chads and Stacy's. But we got an uber giga Chad here, and that is this live? Dropping 20 legal mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Is it live? Appreciate y'all. Your memberships have really been coming through, and I love seeing the sea of green. Make sure you guys, when you see him gift a membership, click that accept gift memberships. You guys can all be green, all get the emojis. You can all drop the live emoji. So when is this live? Ask, is this live? It's ready. It's ready. You're in there. Yeah, it is stupid. I can get banned for memes, but that's what it is, man. That's what it is. But thank you so much, Is This Live? You are a baller, and I appreciate you supporting the channel. All of you guys. Seriously appreciate y'all. All right. So let's get over to, excuse me. Let's get over to what dropped. And it dropped first through Tucker. Oh, and thank you, Agrilith, for 10. Appreciate you hanging out over here with the 100%. Appreciate y'all hanging out. Appreciate you guys coming over. Spend a little time with Papa Mindset. You know, remove yourself from the drama and bullshit and faggotry of Beta Ricada. Remove yourself from Israel, Hamas, and whatever else Joe is digging up. Come over here and hang out with Papa Mindset for a little bit. You know, step around by the fire, gather around and listen. All right. So let's go here and show you guys the video from Tucker. So this is the first place I saw it. Credit where credit is due. Tucker is the one who actually dropped this that I saw. So I give Tucker Carlson for this, for bringing this to my attention. So thanks, Tuck. As with many things, by the way, because Tucker's been rocking it. So let's play this. I'm going to play about the first half, and then we're going to stop. He brings in a guest, and I want to go through the evidence and commentary, and then we'll go back to the guest at the back end. But let's play this.
Now that we know that it was not, in fact, a pandemic of the unvaccinated, now that we know that Ukraine is not actually winning the war against Russia, it could be time to revisit some of the other slogans we've been assured are true and ordered to repeat. Are they, in fact, true? Did, for example, a racist white cop actually murder a man called George Floyd, a civil rights leader, in Minneapolis on Memorial Day of 2020? Now, we've been told that happened, told it relentlessly for more than 3 years. So at this point, we've been told it so much that pretty much everybody seems to believe it. And because everyone does kind of believe it, a small group of people has been allowed to make massive changes.
A small group of crazy
society.
People. Crazy
They
people.
include, but are not limited to, decriminalizing stealing, defunding the police, adding a new federal holiday to the calendar called Juneteenth, the ceasing of hiring all white men in corporate America.
Okay, so these are all real things that have happened. So like, I know we talked about it, like when George Floyd was happening, these things were speculative. These things were speculative. People were like, oh no, that's not going to happen, right? Remember when they were talking about decriminalization of stealing? They're like, you're being hyperbolic. You're being crazy. Fast forward 3 years later, and we literally have major chains like Target, right, pulling out CVS, pulling out completely from cities that have decriminalized stealing like San Francisco. We've seen this happen writ large, where the police show up and say, can't really do anything. Like, sorry, it's decriminalized. What are we going to do? This has happened over and over and over. We were told, you're being racist. You're being hyperbolic. You're being crazy. Okay. All right. Let's see what happens. Defunding the police. Chaz Chop. How many murders happen in Chaz and Chop in those independent districts? The George Floyd district. How many murders happen in that? Yeah, that's chronically underreported, by the way. And then beyond that, talking about corporate America, guys, I am over here in Asia, right? I am in Asia, and I am talking to people working for international companies, including German companies, European companies, all over. I hear again and again and again, positive discrimination, what is called positive discrimination, i.e., they call it positive discrimination. That's literally the word they use, is promoting women and Black people, people of color, whatever, what they determine as people of color, wherever that jurisdiction is, right? So maybe in that country that might be an Arab minority, maybe that might be some other minority, who knows? Bangladeshis, whatever. But that's become the norm, saying, hey, we're not looking at who's most talented, who can do the job. We're looking at, oh, what are your boxes you check? Oh, you check the trans box. Oh, okay, we definitely have to promote you just for that. Particularly within companies with employees that are already there, promoting incompetent employees. Now, some people have said, Andrew, listen, these are big companies. They can tolerate incompetence only so far. Only so far. There's only so much we can absorb, only so many F-ups that can happen before people are like, yeah, no, we're not going there. We're not buying that. Look at Disney. Disney is a great example. The reason why I covered Disney is Disney and their current direction is guided largely by the impetus of George Floyd. These things are indeed connected. They're not things that are separate. I know a lot of other channels, they try to just pop around and they kind of hoe themselves out for whatever. But for me, I see the threads. It is a direct line between George Floyd and what happened then and the craziness we allowed to run free and all of these other things happening. The insanity of this George Floyd situation is just as insane as a lot of the issues we're seeing in the T community with the issues with children, the issues with the drag shows for children. These are just as crazy because we've let the minority of crazies run the henhouse, just like we did with BLM. Jeff Moser said, who would win in a fight, George Foreman or George Floyd? Asking for oh, messed up. But you made me laugh. So I appreciate y'all. Yeah, guys, I'm in Japan. I'm in Tokyo, Japan. So it is 12:13 p.m. So just so you know, 12:13 p.m. All right. So let's continue this with Tucker.
And of course, significantly, they also sent a cop called Derek Chauvin to prison for more than 40 years. He would be the racist white devil who murdered George Floyd. But the question is, did he actually murder George Floyd? And the answer is, well, no, he didn't murder George Floyd. And we're not guessing about that. We know it conclusively, thanks to a new court case now underway in Hennepin County, Minnesota. The case was brought by a prosecutor there called Amy Sweezy. She's suing her boss. So the case is not actually about George Floyd or Derek Chauvin, but it tells you an awful lot about both of them. In her deposition, which you should read, Amy Sweezy describes
we're going to read it.
Conversation that she had with the county medical examiner, Andrew Baker, right after George Floyd died. Quote, I called Dr. Baker early that morning to tell him about the case and to ask him if he would perform the autopsy on Mr. Floyd. Sweezy recalls all this under oath in the deposition. Quote, he called me later
so hold on
that Tuesday.
Let me be very clear.
No medical findings that showed any injury to the vital structures of Mr. Floyd's neck. There were no medical indications of asphyxia or strangulation.
Okay, full stop there. Okay, real quick. So I know that some other people, Nate the lawyer, have a loose definition of evidence, right? And they don't really understand what the word means, at least in the context of court, or at least they play fast and loose with the word evidence. I don't use that word lightly. I don't say evidence lightly, okay? But this is actual evidence because it's been admitted in court. It is a sworn deposition. It is not what somebody said on social media. It's not just me saying it on YouTube. It's not some crazy person. We have a deposition now in court, sworn statement, admitted to court, right? So allowed to come in as evidence. So we have what is called evidence. It's now real evidence, not feelings. We have evidence, okay? Not information, evidence. So we have actual evidence that says that they messed with and interfered with the results here in the conclusions that were drawn by Hennepin County. We have actual evidence of that. Internet Guy for 2 says, in your opinion, does Chauvin get acquitted? Put a pin in that one. In fact, I'm going to save this one again. So I see you, Internet Guy. I'm going to put a pin in this one. I'm going to come back to you. Maria Trujillo says, the difference between truth and facts can change depending on what you ask. Truth is the same regardless of what anyone thinks. Facts are just a few steps away from feelings, but the truth is uncaring. Yes, and people need to accept the truth. And the more people on this channel, I'm always pro-truth and finding out what the truth is. And sometimes I don't know. Sometimes I just have the facts and I'm making my best conclusion. I'm being my own judge. That's why I made that kind of, that's why I did the thing, guys. That's why I did the thing, right? About what the truth is and what the truth of the matter is, what the reality is based on facts. And I'm trying to come to a reasonable conclusion. And you guys can disagree with me. You guys can say, nah, I see these facts and I draw a different conclusion. I draw a different scenario. That's also a situation where you have reasonable doubt. If you have a certain amount of facts and two reasonable people can draw two different conclusions, it's reasonable doubt. So here we certainly had an abundance of reasonable doubt. JL said, when will the madness end? Trial by social media is bullshit. And this is the problem. Since I started this channel, I was concerned about trial by social media. This is nuts. And it's not just social media. It's trial by a very specific segment of the woke media. A very specific segment. Because that was allowed to overpower everything globally. People still believe this guy is completely insane, completely innocent. Because they've just plastered that narrative worldwide. And it's horrible. It's horrible for America. It's horrible for our country. And frankly, it's horrible for the people they're trying to protect. It's horrible all around. It's just a horrible, 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 horrible situation. It's not good. It's no bueno. All right, let's continue here.
Oh. In other words, George Floyd, according to the official autopsy, was not murdered. He died instead of what we used to call natural causes, which in his case would include decades of drug use, as well as the fatal concentration of fentanyl that was in his system on his final day. So this was not a killing. It was yet another narcotics OD in a country that records more than 100,000 of them every year. The medical examiner clearly understood that and, in fact, articulated it. And Sweezy explains. He said to me, she recalls in the deposition, Amy, what happens when the actual evidence doesn't match up with the public narrative that everyone's already decided on?
Holy shit. Literally, guys, this is evidence. This is literally evidence in a sworn deposition. This is evidence of withholding exculpatory information. Not only is that an ethical breach, you have a duty of candor to the court, but this alone. So when that question was, does he get acquitted? This part where they're hiding this evidence, this is the issue. This is where he's going to the Supreme Court and he could be acquitted. So that's to answer your question, Internet Guy. Phantom Lord JH07 says, most violent felony calls I get dispatched to are in minority neighborhoods. Then we have people scream racist when we arrest a minority suspect. Yeah, don't send the police there for 24 hours and see what they say. They're also going to call you racist because they're going to say, oh, well, the police don't come to this neighborhood. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It reminds me of this thing I saw the other day about a young woman at her job. And she was complaining that none of the men want to be very close with her. They all maintain a respectful distance from her at work. And I believe Joker posted or somebody else. And I'm thinking, I'm like, of course, because that's what the law required. That's what you wanted. That's what was asked, right? So when crazy feminists say men and women shouldn't be interacting in questionable ways, and you should maintain, respect, demeanor, professionalism, and people do that, they're not happy. They're not happy. So now, same thing, go over to the police. The police come, they're racist. The police don't come, they're still racist, but for a different reason. There's no pleasing these people. They just want a reason to be miserable. They are miserable people. They will always be miserable people and have miserable lives. They are pathetic. Let's continue.
And then he said, quote, this is the kind of case that ends careers. In other words, everyone lied about it from the very beginning. The people who knew the truth hid the truth and allowed the revolution to proceed. Now they've been exposed. Now we know the truth. What happens next? Well, they're going to ignore it. The Biden administration just issued a long purple statement celebrating George Floyd's birthday. He's a martyr, despite the fact we know that he was not murdered. And by the way, Derek Chauvin is still languishing in jail for the rest of his life. So how do we respond to this? How do we respond to the truth once we have it? Well, Vince Everett Ellison seemed like a good one to ask. He's the author of... So
before we get into the splaining on his side, we're going to have some mindset splaining here because, your boy's got to talk about it. All right. So first of all, the one thing that's relevant here, the really relevant thing we have, and this is very, very important, is that we've got right now Chauvin going to the Supreme Court. So this year, this is July of this year, he started his petition to the Supreme Court. So the U.S. Supreme Court, so the Minnesota Supreme Court declined to take this up. They said, we're not touching that shit, right? So now he's going to the U.S. Supreme Court. So he's got a shot here. There's a potential chance this guy could get off. A shot. So just to understand, that's important context. But then you layer that on what we've seen. Now giving you guys some background, because some background here is absolutely necessary. You've got to remember that we had a couple pieces of evidence here. So obviously we had the autopsy report. So if you guys remember this one, this was kind of fun. We had the autopsy report saying that he died of cardiopulmonary arrest complicated from subdural restraint and neck compression. So this right here is a complete lie. So we have a deposition, we have evidence showing this was absolutely a lie and a fabrication. 100% a fabrication. This is it. This is a huge contradiction of this evidence. So the new evidence contradicts this directly. And then on top of that, so going from that, we also had the video, right? I don't know if you guys saw this, but there's the video of him with the fentanyl in his mouth, right? And that was underplayed. That was underestimated by the jury. And if taken together with this new evidence, could lead to a different conclusion. I don't know if you guys have seen this. This is the video right here of George Floyd in the car, right? So we're going to show this. Obviously, guys, little content warning here. You know, George Floyd passed away. It's not a celebration of violence or anything else or drug use. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't be violent. Kumbaya. All the good disclosures, right? Hashtag not legal financial medical advice. Contact your local mindset in order to get further instruction. But let's go here with this. Let's play this.
He's got 2 milligrams of fentanyl in his mouth when he was first approached by Officer Lane. Take a look.
So right
as we zoom in,
there you go,
and freeze the video, and you tell me what you see.
Yeah, so that right there, Papa Floyd had that. It looks like, I mean, to me, unless he's got some weird shit that's going on in there, he's got a rough tic tac. This is consistent. The video is consistent with the new evidence. Now, I know what people are saying. What people are saying is we already had this video. This video is available at the trial. It was available at Chauvin's trial and available at all other trials. Yeah, someone said gum. It could be gum, right? Possible, right? But you have to take this video in conjunction with the reports, the medical reports. And the thing is that the jury never saw this new document. They never saw this new information. And that is, this is from the new case, right? So this is the brand new stuff. They have not seen this. So this is what they haven't seen. And this is what I posted on Twitter. They have not seen, this is from the new file, from the new case, right? They have not seen that he, in fact, had no life-threatening injuries identified. No facial, oral, conjunctival injuries, no injuries to the muscles of the neck or larynx, no scalp, soft tissues, skull or brain injuries, no chest wall injuries, rib fractures, vertebrae column or visceral injuries, no incisions, cuts, nothing else. But what did he have? A lethal dose of fentanyl, or rather a high dose. I'm not a doctor, right? But he had a lot of fentanyl in the system. And here's the thing, guys. Here's why when people say, oh, well, didn't we know about the fentanyl consumption at the trial? We didn't have this evidence. See, the jury, when they see these things put together, when they see a document that has both no life-threatening injuries at the top and fentanyl at the bottom, could damn well come to a different conclusion than they came to at the trial. That's the problem. The problem is this evidence wasn't presented to the jury, and it should have been. It is a prosecutor's moral right. They need to do this morally to disclose exculpatory information. This is exculpatory information. It was not given to the jury. The jury never considered this. So in order to have a fair trial, They should have had this information in front of the jury. Now, the prosecution could come and try to rebut this. They could come and try to attack this. They could come and try to say, well, we learned stuff later and we updated our report. But the jury needed to consider that, and they didn't. They never saw this evidence. This evidence is new evidence. That's the issue. Some people say, I see you in the chat say, oh, it wouldn't have mattered. Maybe it wouldn't. We don't know. And the standard is not whether they would have still convicted. It's what should they have presented this? Should they have? Yes. It's clear legally. Yes. Now, will the Supreme Court do it? Talk about that in a second. First, let me get this. JL for 2 says 27 million to Floyd's family. Maybe they're acting insane for money. Yeah, well, there was a huge monetary incentive here, a massive monetary incentive here. So yeah, of course that's possible. Internet guy says, why does Tucker keep saying Siobhan? I don't know. Maybe it's just how he says it. Some people say names weird, right? Some people probably say my name weird. Like whatever. It's just how people speak sometimes. It is what it is, internet guy. Kate C, aka Snake Plush Kitten, says one of the worst cancers in society is the concept of my truth. There is no subjective truth, only an impartial, actual truth. Yes, very, very true. Very, very true. Richard Gruber for 10 says, my mother is still convinced that Floyd is alive and Floyd and Chauvin were in on it together. I need to get her away from the Q Boomer Conspiracy Podcast. Okay, Rich, look, listen. I'm willing to believe a lot of things. You want to make to me a fair argument about faking of the moon landing? I'll listen to you. I listened to Bronca. He tried to do that on live. I'll listen to you. You want to talk about 9/11 conspiracy theories? I'll listen to you. But I'm not going to say, okay, I suddenly believe you, right? I don't believe it. I'll listen to somebody who wants to tell me, oh yeah, George Floyd and Chauvin are still alive. He's actually not in prison. I'll listen to you. It doesn't mean I'm going to believe it. I'm a guy, look, I'm open-minded. I'll listen to your story. I probably won't believe it, but I'll listen to it. And that's the thing about My Truth. They've gotten away. The thing about people in My Truth, going back to Kate C's, right? The thing about My Truth is they've lost the ability to listen. The left is no longer open-minded, right? When I was younger, when I was like a I voted for Obama the first time guy, I just was open-minded. I was a person like, look, I'm just trying to listen to everybody. I'm trying to hear all different points of view. But then I realized some points of view are really wrong. They're objectively incorrect, right? You can listen. That doesn't mean it's right. And I fully support the ability for people to speak and others to listen, but you should use your critical thinking to decide, is that fucking true or not? Sorry to curse, but it is really ridiculous. People are losing their critical thinking skills. Thank you so much for Osmora199 becoming a member. And then right off rip, after becoming a member, donating 5 Legal Mindset memberships. Thank you so much. The 199 coming through, Big Osmora. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate everybody else out there. I don't know whether your 199 is a coincidence or whether you're a Geeks and Gamers follower, supporter. I'm glad you're here. Regardless, I'm glad you're here. And there's 500 of you right now in this chat. So right now, if you guys, there's only 178 likes. If you can smash the like button and get me up to 250, then the angel of George Floyd will ascend to even higher heights in woke heaven. Thank you for that. Maria Trujillo said, lawyer once told me, if it's not on record, it's speculation. If it's on record, it's evidence. Yes, speculation can be considered, but evidence must be considered. That's the thing here. Maria, you got it. You've been listening to this channel for a while. Maria, you know what's up. You know what's up. You've got to, Mario. I'm fucking crazy right here. All right. And also got to get some of this water. So Mario, you know what's going on. So you know that evidence is something that the court needs to. They don't have an option. You have to consider it. Now, the jury can say, we don't believe that. We think that evidence is bullshit. Consider it, though. You've got to consider it, though. If you don't consider it, there's a problem. Don't consider there's a problem. Dayot said, thanks for debunking the narratives. Critical thinking is lacking. And that's what I try to do on this channel, because people are not thinking critically. They're just going out there, spouting stuff. And look, we've still got things like this. Here's my complaint. We've still got this situation, right? So over here, we've got fact check, George Floyd's death ruled a homicide, not fentanyl overdose. As long as this is still a thing, this is still relevant. Until this is updated to, well, it was a fentanyl overdose, but they convicted him anyways. I'll be happy then. If people just admit this was a political prosecution, this was something that, okay, we're sacrificing this officer on the altar of woke. Just admit it. At least it would be honest. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it ethical. But let's just admit what it is. Let's just admit what it is. Alex for $2.99. Alex Jones says, "Hail St. Floyd." Hail, Alex. Good to see you there in the chat. Oh my God, I cannot show most of these locals memes. They're too spicy. Okay, but let's go ahead here. We've got that down. Let's go ahead and play the rest of this clip from Tucker, because his analyst actually has some really good opinions here. And I really like the way it goes. And you can hear it from non-whitey, right? Because, of course, I'm white, so I have no ability to speak on this. So let's let a black man explain George Floyd, because obviously I'm just racist.
Crime Inc. He joins us now. Vince, thanks so much for coming on. So as with so many other stories, the origin
thanks for having me, Tucker.
of COVID, it's a blessing to have you. We now know what actually happened, but the question then is, what do you do with that knowledge? We know that the U.S. government, Tony Fauci, worked with the Chinese to create the virus.
That clipped, of course. You guys are definitely going to clip.
But
you guys clip all this. I know.
What do we do with that knowledge? What do we do with the knowledge that George Floyd was not actually strangled to death by a cop?
We have to acknowledge the people that gave it to us and why. See, George Floyd is the Democratic Party's prototypical black man. These are the black men they are trying to create. So George Floyd has to be elevated. He has to be celebrated. He's perfect to them. He was poor. He was uneducated. He was a drug addict. He didn't have a job. He was down there begging and crying and asking the white people to not kill him. To a Democrat, to a white Democrat, this is the perfect black man.
So real quick here. This is a perfect point. But what I want to emphasize here is the one thing that the war never went on here against fentanyl. Why is it that the Democrats won't declare war on the fentanyl epidemic? Why are they not going hard on fentanyl? Is it because they're in bed with their CCP allies that are secretly seeding that into the United States? Is it because they actually want people to be drug addicted and poor and homeless and relying on the government? You guys tell me. Because to me, it seems like they do benefit. That party certainly benefits from people that are taking dole from the government. Anybody on the government dole is a Democratic voter, period, hands down. And so if they can make you poor, if they can strip you down and take everything from you, you're a Democrat, baby. You're voting blue.
So he has to be elevated. Look, not a few days ago, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden celebrated hip-hop music. They had a celebration of hip-hop.
Hip-hop culture is America's culture. It is a genre. It is.
By the way, what the fuck is going on with this suit? I'm serious. By the way, unfortunately, I got 75-25 odds that Kamala within the next 3, now probably after, so maybe like 6 months or so, Kamala steps up, Biden steps down. There's some fuckery there, so they can say, oh, first woman president of color. We've got all the check marks and everything else. Kamala. Let's continue.
It's music and melody and rhyme, and hip hop is also an ethos.
A music genre that
is an ethos.
The N word, calls women the W word and the B word. Talks about misogyny, shooting police.
Well, listen, we could
dope,
use a little misogyny. Not gonna lie,
killing, acting a fool. They celebrated this genre.
We could use a little misogyny
because this is how they see Black America. They see us the same way they see George Floyd, and they have to make more of us because everywhere they rule, John F. Kennedy stood in front of the Berlin Wall in the 60s and said, "If you think that communism is great, let them come to Berlin. Well, if you think that the Democratic Party is great, let them come to Detroit.
Yep.
Let them come to Chicago.
Yep.
Let them come to St. Louis. Let them come to LA, Portland, Seattle, Memphis. Anywhere where they rule, you will see."
And within those, by the way, within those communities, this is a very important point. Within those communities, So the rich people that live in Chicago, shout out to my Chi-Town people, Detroit, I met a guy from Seattle. They're not living in the hood, right? These people, these politicians are not living in the hood. They're not living in the districts that they represent, right? They're not staying there. They're as far away from that as possible. They're out of that. So this is the whole disconnect we have here. These guys are not at all attached to the day-to-day reality of those communities. If they were required to, if you're required when you represent a community to literally live there, stay there, be there 100% of the time, these guys, there'd be changes real quick.
Floyd's all over the place, and they're proud of them. In Baltimore, Maryland, they spend $21,000 per child for every child up there inside the school district. Not one school is proficient in math, science, or reading.
They can't read.
Keep it going.
These kids can't read.
Why? Because they're producing
George
Floyd.
But
and George Floyd's vote for the Democrat Party.
But why would, so when most of us, you, me, I think all normal people look at George Floyd's life, you think this is a disaster. This guy never added anything. He took a lot, in prison at least 8 times. I mean, his life was a tragedy at best. Why would you want more people like that?
Because he votes
great.
for the
These are
Democrat
facts,
Party.
bro.
And then he teaches his children to vote for the Democrat Party.
Let me rewind that. Sorry, I spoke over it.
You, me, I think all normal people look at George Floyd's life. You think this is a disaster. This guy never added anything. He took a lot.
Zero value.
In prison at least 8 times. I mean, his life was a tragedy at best. Why would you want more people like that?
Because he votes for the Democrat Party. And then he teaches his children to vote for the Democrat Party. And then these white Democrats can feel superior to him. Yeah. He can be controlled by them. Just like, think about an old slave plantation. Talk about it today. How they wanted their slaves to act. Subservient, obedient, ignorant, doing what he was told.
So literally, guys, literally hearing it from a brother right here, they are putting people back on the modern plantation. When I say they want you on the plantation, I mean that literally. It is the modern version of the plantation. You just don't realize it. The people that are in it don't think about it. It's the plantation. In fact, it's worse than the plantation. It's worse than the plantation. Even worse than the plantation. I mean, in so many ways. In so many ways. Let's continue here.
Not asking any questions. Having a slave mind. Being dependent on them. This is how they want black men to be in America. This is how they want the whole black community to be. This is why it started in the civil rights movement. When Martin Luther King Jr. in his I Have a Dream speech said, 100 years after the Emancipation Proclamation, the Negro is still not free. He said 5 times in that speech that we were not free. It turned the Declaration of Independence on its head, because in our Declaration of Independence, it said that our freedom was an unalienable right given us by God. John Locke, in his second treatise of government, said that an unalienable right is a right given from God. It is irrevocable, non-transferable, and unsellable. And unsellable. The government cannot touch it. It supersedes law. It supersedes the Constitution. However, King said that we was coming to government and to the white man for our right to be free. Even at the end of the speech, he said, on some certain day, we'll be free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we're free at last. He said in that speech, when will we be satisfied? He said, we will never be satisfied until justice rolls down like water and righteousness like a mighty stream. That's a fancy way of saying never.
Right. Never satisfied is a problem. This is the perpetual victim mindset. The perpetual victim mindset leads nowhere. It is crabs in a bucket, constantly pulling you down, never advancing. That's what they want for these people. They don't want them to advance. They want them to stay serfs, to stay slaves. And even if it's intellectual slavery, that's still slavery. If you are stuck in a mindset, in a lifestyle, that's slavery. That's absolutely slavery. So spitting raw facts.
And so black people heard that speech and said that we were not free here in America. And we make our children recite that speech every single year on King's birthday. And they say in that speech, the Negro is still not free. George Floyd was a slave in his mind.
Yep.
And the civil rights movement caused him to be a slave in his mind. And today they're still marching 60 years later, telling black people, you're not free. Beg for reparations, beg for affirmative action, kill your children in the womb, cut off your child, you castrate your children. Let drag queens come into school and shake their behinds in your children's faces.
Disgusting.
Run God out of the public
Disgusting.
square. And then they end up like George Floyd. But the one thing they do consistently is they vote for the Democratic Party, and the places where George Floyd's live, they stay in absolute power.
Yep.
That's a pretty dark explanation.
Well, but the truth is, the real truth is that they've been controlling these places forever, right? They've controlled the inner cities for 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. What have they done with them? They've absolutely wrecked them. They've become worse, not better, despite all the free gimmies, despite the funding, despite the pork. Nothing has changed. In fact, it's gotten worse. Nothing has changed for the better. It's only gotten worse. If you looked at the Black community in the 60s and the 50s, they had one of the highest marriage rates. Extremely religious, traditional. That is so dead. It completely flipped on its head. And that's because the Democratic Party and their agenda and what exactly they did to that community. Wolfram says, we the jury find the defendant squirrel. Deha says, poverty industrial complex. And yes, absolutely. The poverty industrial complex, because this is all they want. They want you in poverty, cycle of poverty. And then, of course, Osmora199 gave another 5 legal mindset memberships. Make you accept those, guys. I want to see a sea of green in the chat. Accept those memberships. Appreciate y'all getting the legal mindset, because the legal mindset is literally the inverse of the intellectual slave mindset. It is not allowing someone to think for you and saying, hold on a second. And by the way, I apply that equally to big conservative as I do to woke liberals, right? I say, whoa, let's think for a second before we go into another war. Let's think for a second before we say everybody, no matter what, should be getting married and having kids. Let's think about that for a second. Let's pump the brakes real quick. Right? We've got to think. We've got to be critical about how we do things. Dapper Dave 2021 says, Black members in Congress take a knee during the day and walk into their mansions at night. They've done nothing of substance for the Black community, nothing. And not only that, they've taken from them, they've grifted off of them. They've taken their donations for those little old church ladies that are voting for them, and they've squandered them on Jack baloney, right? Absolute baloney. Nothing. They've got nothing for them.
So you're saying that the Democratic Party as an organization intentionally degrades black people to keep them compliant and obedient?
Oh, yes. In my book, Crime Inc., I talk about one of the main things they do, like the mafia and organized crime. They humiliate Black people. They demoralize them. It's a Marxist construct. They demoralize their people. They beat them down. They tell them that they're victims. Well, it was Martin Luther King Jr. that said, they tell you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Well, how can you pull yourself up by your bootstraps when you're bootless? You know, he told us we were bootless. You know, you have Black preachers, and you've heard, you know about my iron triangle, the Black preacher, the Black politician, the Black civil rights worker. They go into the Black community consistently. You're a victim. You're a victim.
Yep.
The country hates you.
Yep.
Well, see, I look at them and I say, I'm a Black man, but I cannot be oppressed. You know why? Because I'm a child of God. I'm an heir of Jesus Christ.
Very few people, but I will say this right now. That is an older guy in the Black community. I rarely hear that. I don't know about you guys. Guys, tell me in the chat. Like, do you hear a level of religiosity coming out? Because that's the older people, that older generation. Frankly, the sad thing, it's a dying generation, right? That still believes that. Still believes, hey, I'm positive because I'm a child of God. I'm a divine creation. Whatever religion you are, right? Like, we are special and unique in the world. We have the ability to sculpt our environment, to create happiness, beauty, aesthetics, art, culture. We have the ability to do so much. We should be thankful and positive every day on this earth. I try to be happy and thankful and positive every day on this earth. There's a reason why I can only cover so much negative stuff before I burn out. You know, I gotta have some messing around. We gotta have some jokes. We gotta have some lighthearted stuff, because we should all be thankful. We should all be positive, and we should be working towards improving ourselves in the situation around us, right? That's a belief that people who have deeply held beliefs hold. Deeply held belief, right? These woke leftists have no beliefs, no morals, no ethics, no core, nothing. They're devoid of all internal goodness. Vibe AI gave 10 legal mindset memberships. Thank you so much for that. Vibe AI coming through big. Make sure you guys click that on, accept those memberships, and get vibing with Vibe AI. Great lo-fi beats. Check out his channel. And then Osmora, another 10 legal mindset memberships coming through today. Osmora winning VIP The Giga Chad today is Osmora19 with the memberships. Appreciate the Giga Chad status. But for all you Chads and Stacys out there, I appreciate you. And I appreciate you over here, wherever I am in the world. Happens to be Tokyo today, but wherever I am, I appreciate y'all. Vebaya says, can't let all these grifters go. No, you gotta get a hold of the grifters. You gotta get a hold of the grifters. Let the grifters grift. Let the grifters grift. Some people don't like that I use grifter, but it's fine. All right, I will show one here. We got one on locals. So I guess I can show just the tip, just the tip of this locals this locals message here. I think it'll be all right. So here from $2 tip over on locals, Vibe AI says, preach, bro. Thank you so much, Vibe AI. We are definitely preaching here today. Listen, you guys know I was almost a pastor. It was something I know. I know the Bible very well. I have taught Sunday school. I've done a lot. I was assistant youth and children's pastor. I know a lot about the Bible, right? And I have deep respect for Christianity, for my time as in the church, for my understanding of the message. But the message that people are getting from it, right? Obviously that's changed, but it's important. It's a critical message. It's an important message. And it's resounding on a deeper spiritual level. There's a spiritual feeling for those that have ever felt that is deeper and beyond yourself, above yourself. Anybody who's ever been out there and felt that knows what that is. I felt that. I've certainly felt that. And that is definitely life-changing. These people have never felt that. They've never felt that at all in their life. Dapper Dave says, single mother households is an epidemic. Yes, and it's allowed. It's permitted, especially the Black community. It's permitted. It's okay. In fact, it's promoted. It's saying that man ain't shit. You don't need that man. Get rid of him. Which is the exact opposite, by the way, of Christianity, of what it should be, the traditional man and wife as Jesus intended, right? Corey Cass says, looking forward to the day I finally catch you live. Until then, it's going to be part of the premiere. I know, it's all just one big premiere. It's all just one big premiere. Pastor Andrew channel went, dude, when I do my like Bible stream, that would be like a separate stream where I'm just like reading like Bible passages and stories. I could do it, but it'd be kind of crazy. That'd be kind of crazy. That'd be kind of insane if you guys saw me doing Bible time. That I could do it, but that would be kind of weird. Aaron Larg says, when you're doing another show with the Hebrew, I have to coordinate with him. Honestly, oftentimes I'm streaming over Joe because that's when I'm available. Because Thailand is a different time zone. It happens to be when I usually wake up and get ready. Joe's already on. So maybe we can do one collabs at his time, but definitely it's more difficult. Biblical mindset. Oh no, biblical mindset. We've already got a legal mindset. We've already got legal mindset. Now biblical mindset. Oh man. Oh, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. Not gonna lie. All right. So let me go here. Before we go, I wanted to say that we do have, and this is something I wanted to get out here at the end. Oh, Rackets was talking about Bible stuff. Yeah, I could do a collab with Rackets on that if you wanted to collab with me on that. Although it might be kind of weird coming from Rackets. But that being said, I wanted to get you guys' opinion on why this matters because of the Leonard Cure incident. So this incident is one they are trying to make into George Floyd 2.0. So I want to play this video so you guys see this. I don't know anybody who's seen this, but this is one that recently they were trying to make into George Floyd 2.0. And I want you guys to judge for yourself whether or not this incident is George Floyd 2.0, right? So let's play this here for you guys. And some of you may have seen this, some of you may have not, but either way, it is an important thing to know because they're going to try to make these incidents happen again and again and again. Let's play this real quick. 2 minutes here.
Step out! Get out!
It's kind of loud, so we're gonna.
Out!
Obviously, this is
Hands back here.
a police encounter, so be warned.
Who are you? Staff Sergeant Officer Sheriff's Office. My name is Wade. I don't care. Step to the rear of this vehicle. In the name of who?
I don't know. This just happened.
The law of the state of Georgia. Step back here. Now you're getting tased. Watch me now.
I don't know if you guys saw this or
back
not.
in that truck. Do you see that? Put your hands on the back of that truck. Back of the truck. Both hands. Turn around. 34. Can you send me another unit? One non-compliant.
Yeah, I'm glad they released the video so we can
Staff
comment
Sergeant
on it.
Aldridge with the Camden County Sheriff's Office. Who county? Camden County. Put your hand behind your back. Do I have a warrant? Wait. No. Excuse me. Either put your hands behind your back or you're getting tased. I'm telling you that right now. Why am I getting tased? Because you are under arrest for speeding and reckless driving. I'm not driving. Nobody was hurt. How was I speeding? You passed me doing 100 miles an hour. Okay, so that's a speeding ticket, right? Sir, tickets in the state of Georgia are criminal offenses. I don't have a ticket in Georgia. You do now? Why? You passed me doing 100 miles an hour. And what? Am I going hands behind your back. Yes, you're going to jail. Hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
So there you go. Okay. Starts the crazy arms. Comes at the officer. Right? So let me pause this here real quick. So at this point, at this point where he's actually got this point, the guy's got the upper hand. So the other dude has the upper hand right now, right? So this is the other thing. Like looking at this incident, right? Looking at this incident, it's like right off rip when people tried to call this George Floyd 2.0. I'm like, dude, the guy's got the officer in the chokehold, right? So you're banning chokeholds for officers, but not for people attacking them. So you've taken that move off of their move list, right? I think about like a fighting game. It's off their command list. Yeah. People are saying, by the way, in the chat, I see you saying like Dusty Cruz says, this guy just got out of the pen. Yeah, look, that's a relevant fact. And oftentimes it's something that's left out. He's just a poor guy, right? He's just a poor guy. They leave out things like fentanyl in the case of Floyd, or that in this case here, which is a relevant fact. It's a very relevant fact. Let's continue to play this, guys. By the way, this is graphic and does end in the loss of life. So let me spoiler alert. Okay.
Yeah, bitch.
Okay, there you go.
Stay down. Camden, shots fired. Shots fired, Camden.
Yep.
Stay down. Do not get up. Stay down. Stay down.
And that's the body camera footage, right? So that's the kind of body camera footage right there. So to me, that's not even close to George Floyd, right? They may have muted the shots. Muted the shots, right? So that being said, I think they did maybe. I think they did mute the shot. But there was definitely a shot in there because it said shots fired. So he definitely fired a shot regardless of whether or not it played that through. But that being said, to me, when people run around and yell, George Floyd, right? Now, was that cop a nice guy? Did he handle that in the best way possible? Probably not. I'm not a cop. I don't fucking know. That's for other cops to tell me. Should he be disciplined for that? Maybe, right? I don't know. I'm not a cop. But was what was done there, like if you ended up in that altercation where the guy's got you in a chokehold and he's like, take that, bitch. How do you like that, bitch? Right? He's got the upper hand at that degree where the guy could be disarmed at that point. Yeah, you've got to go there. It's not like the guy didn't try to handle this non-lethally. And yes, that was a dash cam, not a body cam. I may have misspoke there. Mi scusi. But this is why this is important, because they're going to try to make other people George Floyd 2.0s. They're going to try to make it that way. And that's exactly what Tucker's guest was saying. They were saying that the style, what they do, and he said this in the last part, but he talks a little bit too long and goes a little wandering. But what they do is they try to wait for an incident where there's a Black Death and a white cop, and they all of a sudden make that person into an angel, make the cop into a devil, right? This is always what they do, and they're going to continue to do this. It won't stop with George Floyd, but we need to, in our mind, be analyzing this and know their attack pattern, know how they're going to think with irrational thoughts, with lack of facts, and with skewing the facts. We need to know that beforehand to prevent it in the future. To keep something else from going down this chain, we need to know how they do it. And we figured that out. We've gotten that formula from George Floyd, and we've seen it, we've debunked it. So now we can look at these things with fresh eyes and say, this is the way we should analyze these facts. Yeah, it does. People say right here, it doesn't look great on either side. But that being said, it's lawful versus look great, right, are two different things. Lawful but awful is still legal, right? Lawful but awful, right? Awful speech, still First Amendment. Racist, horrible speech, still First Amendment. Lawful but awful is still okay. And it should be. And I stand by that. I do stand by that. Now, that being said, we want to get into how we can punish police that go be above and beyond. Okay, we can talk about that. That's different, right? But is this unjustified? No. Dapper Dave said, in your opinion, do you think the Floyd case at Chauvin could have been convicted of a lesser crime? If so, what crime? Refusal to render aid? Maybe it's possible. And honestly, if they wanted to get him, and I think everybody at that point, even the supporters, would have said, well, let's just let him have that one, right? Just to get everybody to calm down. I think that even the conservatives have been like, all right, we're going to let this one slide. Even though we shouldn't, even the law demands it, I think that refusal to render aid, yeah, they could have tried to do that one. And probably, look, again, realistically, the jury would have probably convicted that. I mean, no guarantee, right? There's never a guarantee. But at that time, the sentiment was very much anti-Chauvin. And if they convicted on murder, certainly they could have convicted on a lesser charge. So could they have? Absolutely, they could have. They could have gone with manslaughter. They could have gone to several other lesser crimes, but they went specifically with murder. So yes, I do think he has ground for appeals. I do think the U.S. Supreme Court could overturn this. I absolutely do think. Will they? Well, here's the thing. Right now, honestly, of reopening all things, reopening the George Floyd wound would be big. And there's a lot of anti-Biden energy, but that might pump Biden a little bit in the numbers to open that wound. Also, if you notice, RFK has been taking a significant chunk from Biden, right? And he has been refraining from really directly taking anything from Trump, right? But this could be an issue where there's some polling changes. So you might not want, the Supreme Court might not want to do this right away. That's the problem. They might want to do this till after the election. They might not want to do this till after the election. Just being realistic. I'm a realistic person. I think if they do it right now, there's been so many big cases, and the Supreme Court has come under such scrutiny from the left. I think they're going to be a little timid. They're going to be a little timid. Just real talk here. Real talk. Okay, I'm trying to see if there's any of these memes I can show. Probably not. But if you're over on Locals, mylegalmindset.locals.com, you guys can join that. I will be doing some street streams from Tokyo. So you're going to get some live random streams, probably when I'm slightly intoxicated. Say, hey, I'm on Tokyo streets. It's Legal Phone Set. Over there on legalmindset.locals.com. Go join over there if you want to become a member. I actually will be, I was thinking about doing it last night, but it was so cold here that my little Floridian ass had to get back inside. But definitely we'll be doing that in the near future on Locals, legalmindset.locals.com. That being said, guys, I'm about to meet up with Maximum Mura, my favorite Japanese bro. So I'm going to go have lunch with Max. I hope all of you guys are having a wonderful day out there. I hope you have a great time, and I will catch you all later. Peace, guys.